l'approccio strategico in questo senso?
Sì, ovviamente noi abbiamo la nostra maniera di giocare. Se c'è spazio per correre, corriamo. Non è, ovviamente è una cosa che la squadra adesso sanno.
Next question, please.
Range, volevo sapere come ti trovi a giocare ala.
Ange, je voulais savoir comment est-ce que tu t'es senti pour jouer en tant qu'ailier finalement.
Facile, diciamo così. E volevo sapere qual era la tua impressione.
I just wanted to have your opinion basically on this game seen from the new position that you had to assume. Sorry, there's been a swap in the interpretation channels, unforeseen.
Non lo so, quel posto volevo fare il meglio per la squadra, anche per apportare le mie, come posso dire, attitudini che posso apportare, dunque no, per me cambiare niente per preparare questa partita.
Nothing more to say, basically. I think we've been doing our best in terms of preparation, and this game won't affect our results and our good shape for tomorrow. I'm sure that we were able to intervene in the right place.
Next question, please.
Salve. Marius, tra le tante risposte delle
Marius, among the numerous responses that we got yesterday from the New Zealanders, obviously they play very fast. We know how reactive they can be. So what kind of countermeasure do you think you could adopt in their confrontation? At this stage, we don't want to project ourselves too much. The objective, basically, I think, for any kind of team really is to live in the instant and to try to jump, basically, on the spur of the moment to the adequate reaction. So you have to find a way of slowing basically down the adversary's game, and we don't have any specific tactic basically to make sure that we can lower their tactics efficiency. Basically, it's up to us by tomorrow evening to make sure that we're at their best, that we can perform in that context and at this level, given the points of interaction and contacts, which obviously will be determining.
Io per Tommaso volevo sapere che cosa rappresenta per te giocare contro gli All Blacks. E quante volte
I was just wondering when you were going to be playing against the All Blacks.
E volevo sapere un po' com'era questa, per un giocatore di rugby, che cosa significa in sostanza.
What it implied, basically, because it is a symbolical, huge thing, isn't it, for a rugby player? Yeah, exactly. When I was a little player, I was obviously following South Africans against the All Blacks, which came as a bit of a myth to all of us. And I think it happened about 3 or 4 times that we had an opportunity basically to be confronted to them. And so at the global level now, to be given the opportunity to play against such a huge, experienced rugby team, obviously It's putting a lot of pressure on us with respect to other parties and games, perhaps, but we are also resting on our experience as much as possible and trying to concentrate on our game basically for as many minutes as the match will last, rather than make any projections. Sorry?
Con la quarta presenza sei il veterano di questa squadra contro gli All Blacks.
So you're kind of the veteran of the All Blacks in this current configuration, aren't you? Oh, well, I don't know. There are other of us who were confronted with them on a couple of occasions. It's true that 3 to 4 times I've had the chance, but it doesn't change anything, I believe, on the list of assets. We are all the members of the same team, which is going to make the most of its experience. Another question geared towards Tommaso. I'm just wondering, after 10 years of professional career, basically, I was wondering how Tommaso, looking back basically on all his experiences, what would you retain as major lessons and unforgettable events? Thanks. And to this experience, I would say that it's the physical shape in which you come and turn up, as well as your the maturity probably that you develop with all the psychological experience that you can accumulate over the years in order to resist pressure. And even at a younger stage is probably what matters, in fact. Now, after those 2 years in this current position, I've had so much fun, basically, accumulating these experiences. I believe I find myself in a better position, a better place even with time, and I hope to be able to carry on with such and in such a good physical condition. I am anyway enjoying it, and I suppose I've changed in terms of maturity since the beginning of my career. That's what I would emphasize.
She's okay. A question to Tommaso. 4 years ago,
quindi non ha nessun.
Next.
Hopefully this typhoon experience will not repeat itself, in other words. Trying to summarize what the other interpreter should have been interpreting. Okay, another question just to Tommy, perhaps. I would like to say that in those anyway, who is actually deciding on the playlist and the songs, basically, that will sort of symbolically inspire you? Who's the music expert in your team? As you know, there are always typical songs ritually associated with your rugby games. Well, I suppose it was Currie, well, the king in the house in terms of musical program. He helped most of us to raise our spirits and morals, and he usually chooses some really good music. We've always had it with us anyway, so Mario also has a say, I suppose, with an influence that comes from African rhythms in that respect.
No, questo è una buona domanda perché
No, I think it's a good question, actually, because it has to be said that in any team, we can swap places, as you know, and be allocated here or there. And so it's even more important to be on the watch and listening out to carefully to what the others have to say and how they behave. So it is important for us to have a chance to experience these different positions, I believe, and to keep up a certain level of diversity in the configuration on the field. So between the 15 of us, basically, we don't have a problem anymore to swap around and change the rhythms, musical or sportive ones.
Volevo sapere da Angie e da Tommaso.
I was just wondering whether Angie or Tommaso could tell us how many of their relatives were going to be among the public. Do you have any idea? And your supporters, who's going to turn up? Your mother, your father, how many of them will be around? Well, I surely will have my wife, my children, my son, and my parents, as well as my sister, actually, will be turning up. She has just done a very long journey, stopping over in Perpignan and then in Lyon now for tomorrow's match. So all the closest relatives to me, and it's important to have you around, to have them around. Of course, it will make this moment all the more special, especially when we're all chanting the hymn precisely, and there's nothing as moving as knowing that basically you're under the eyes of your beloved ones. Seriously, I don't know. Too many of them will be around. Probably it's hard to predict. I don't want really to make any forecast that among the close relatives and others. Okay, just wondering, because the captain adopted a few tactical differences, perhaps relative to the actual location, by contrast with Nice and the other venues. Well, it's true that this playing field is actually slightly softer, maybe, than it was for the game against Namibia. But I don't think we'll have sort of direct prescriptive changes, or that we'll feel huge radical differences in the way we decide to run and cover the field. I believe it's a beautiful, privileged venue to be tramping on as well.
Last question? Or are we good? Yeah, we're good? Okay, thank you.
All clear then.